Hi there, and thank you for joining me for today's live reading of Savage Truth, a dark high school bully romance. It's the second book in the Hidden Valley Elite series by Isla Vaughn, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, Riley. Cole Savage is a Class A MVP, a most valuable prick, a blackmailing MVP. I stormed into the Savage's house, slammed the slider with extra force, flipped the lock, and left the big jerk outside. No one had been there when I met my uncle in the backyard. I'd made sure of it. So, how Cole knew I was on the patio was the question. It was as if he had a GPS stuck to my ass. Of all the guys mom could date, and I say that liberally because real relationships weren't a thing with our way of life, it had to be Cole's dad. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Hell would freeze over before I would believe that whole thing was legit. Mom and I ran cons to survive, never hitting the same town twice, except for Santa Monica, California, where Lucas Savage lived. And since Mom had insisted I move into their dumb house with her and her boyfriend, there I was. What should have happened was a con with Lucas as her mark while I extracted pertinent information from his sons, Cole and Damon. Cole was a nightmare. A drool-worthy fantasy with broad shoulders, a washboard stomach, and a face that could grace magazines and the big screen. I couldn't stop thinking about him. He was still a pain in my ass. I grabbed handfuls of my hair and tugged, trying to calm down in their gourmet kitchen, which by itself was bigger than most of the places we'd lived. He made me so mad. No one, and I mean no one, had ever caught Mom or me with my uncle, and there was very important reason for that. Cole had information on me that could be my ultimate downfall. Mom's too. He has a name, but even Uncle Ronan's first name would have been enough for someone to find out who he was. It wouldn't take long to tie Mom and me to him, then learn our given last names and where we came from, despite our various aliases muddying the waters. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake the foreboding sense that even though Mom planned to give us everything we'd never had via her relationship with Lucas, it would inevitably blow up in our faces. Cole and I played a cat and mouse game of blackmail, and for the first time since we'd started, I was worried. But I knew Cole wanted me to be. I couldn't dwell on what ifs. I would find a way to turn the tables. I made a detour to the laundry room where I dumped my warm clothes from the dryer into a laundry basket, then took it upstairs to fold and put away. I refused to look out any of the back windows in case Cole was stuck out there. I hoped he was. I popped my bedroom door open with a hip check and stopped short. What the hell are you doing in here? Cole sprawled across my luxurious queen size bed, wearing that wicked smirk that I'd come to associate with him being up to no good. He looked too damn good, and I didn't trust myself with him. I dropped the basket of clean clothes near my dresser, staying 5 feet from the bed and him. If looks could kill, he would have been dead. I crossed my arms over my chest, leaned a hip against the dresser, and waited for him to talk, or even better, leave. I'm not going anywhere until we get a few things straight. His green eyes flashed with determination, and a muscle jumped along his strong jaw. You've got nothing on me, but not true. I straightened, my arms dropping to my sides. I resisted warming fists as I attempted to bluff my way out of whatever nightmare he had planned. I have a video of you participating in an illegal underground fight, which I bet the Hidden Valley Academy, and especially Thane University, would be interested in seeing. Cole was a senior, like me, and a star tight end on the Academy's team, and I knew he had a scholarship to play at Thane. He didn't need the money because his dad was loaded, but I'd overheard him and the other elite assholes talking about needing scholarships. There must have been a reason, and I was pretty sure it was because Cole and his brother Damon hated their father. There was no way they hated him more than I hated mine. We all had our issues, and the less he knew about me, the better. I just had to keep him unbalanced, which I found rather difficult. You've got nothing, Riley. Remember, I was in your room not too long ago when you were sleeping. I hacked your phone and destroyed the video. It's a good thing you sleep like the dead. Only sometimes. That had been an alarmingly off night. There weren't any traces of it saved elsewhere, not your computer, not a hidden flash drive. I narrowed my eyes. He was right, but I had no intention of letting him know that. I'd watched the video several times before he'd gotten to it. He fought with animalistic abandon, each punch calculated and so very powerful. It sent a thrill racing through me. If only we were on the same team, then maybe. No, I couldn't let my mind go there. The only team that made sense was Mom, Uncle Ronan, and me, the way it always had been and would be. He flexed his abs beneath his too tight t-shirt, distracting me for a moment, then smoothly rolled to his feet. His superior athleticism showed in everything from the cut of his muscles and broad shoulders to his rock-hard chest and tapered waist. I didn't understand how someone well over 6 feet tall and built like a brick wall could move so quietly. It was disturbing and a little frightening. I raised my chin. I wasn't scared of him. He was nothing like what Mom and I had dealt with in the past. Cole was child's play, or so I kept reminding myself. You better be sure of that because the repercussions of that video, I left my statement hanging. He was right. I had nothing since he erased it, but I wasn't going to admit that. I'm sure. He smirked, then advanced. Soon I'll know what you're hiding, and then I'll go to Dad, and he'll kick you both out the front door. Heat flashed, and the gold in his eyes turned molten. Unless his gaze dropped to my lips before meeting my eyes again. You agree to my terms. I moved forward, his intoxicating, spicy, oceanic scent luring me to touch him. I resisted, but barely. You don't have anything. So what? I talked with someone I call my uncle. He might be related. He might not be. Your mom met with a man the other night. I have a recording of her telling him to wait a little while longer and that she loves him. What do you think my dad will do when he hears that? I hate you. Something dark and dangerous sizzled between us, and I moved out of his reach because if he kissed me, my willpower would snap. You'll owe me a weekly favor of my choice. I curled my upper lip, letting my anger show. He would ask for something sleazy. A thrill raced down my spine, but I hid behind my appalled expression. If he knew I wanted more from him, I couldn't go there. He'd already had the football players freeze me out at school. No one would date me, guys were afraid of me, and the Barbie Club, aka the Bitch Squad or the Elite's entourage, took turns bullying me. At least that part was amusing. Tomorrow is Friday, and I have a game. You can start this weekend by doing my laundry. His sinful lips curled into a wide grin. That asshole was laughing at me. I narrowed my eyes, but the joke was on him. I'd been doing laundry since I was 10. Not that I would admit that to him. The housekeeper does your laundry. Louisa was more of a mom than a housekeeper, and I doubted she would be okay with me taking over that task. He sidestepped me on his way to the door. From now on, you're my maid. I followed as he passed through my open door. When he turned, it looked like he was going to say something else when he clamped his mouth shut and a wall came down in his eyes, locking me out. Before slamming my door in his face, I peered down the hallway to see what had caught Cole's attention. Lucas was coming up the stairs. I flashed his dad a fake smile, then snagged Cole's focus back to me, and whispered, "You can go fuck yourself." He laughed, and I swear I thought I heard him reply, "Not if I fuck you first." Unsettled by how much I wanted that, I hurried back into my room and shut my door. I leaned against it, anger at lusting after his body vibrating through me, when I heard his dad stop Cole in the hallway. I pressed my ear to the door. "I'm glad to see you and Riley getting along, but remember that she's off limits." Cole grunted something noncommittal. "Raylan and I are trying to make this work, and I need you boys to behave." After the stunts you and your brother pulled with the party, Raylan was very concerned. "Let me make this crystal clear for you and Damon. No sleeping with your soon-to-be stepsister." "She's not my type." "That fucker. I'll show him how much I'm not his type. That kiss at the fight the other night told me something very different." "Good. Tomorrow night, Raylan and I will be at the game for the alum introductions. She wants to go to dinner out with all of us. You will come to that and behave." Interesting. I didn't need to hear anything more because I had a very good idea of how to even the playing field. All I had to do was get Cole to hit on me in front of his father. I flopped onto my bed and tried hard not to laugh. I would do his laundry and even clean his room whether he wanted me to or not, wearing my skimpiest shorts and tightest shirt. Let's see how tall and proud he walks when I put him in his place, which is hands off of me. Entering the Savage house was surreal after school, or any time. I sighed in relief when I found the kitchen empty. Even Louisa wasn't around. I opened the fridge and grabbed an apple, intent on barricading myself in my room for the rest of the night. I turned and stopped short, unable to prevent a scowl on my face when Lucas appeared in front of me. Do any of the savages make a sound? It was like living with panthers. They would be on me, ready for the kill before I even heard as much as a scuff of their shoes. I'm glad you're here, Riley. I've been meaning to talk to you. It was clear what my mom saw in him. He looked like both Cole and Damon, just older. That didn't mean I trusted him or wanted to be there. I didn't say a word. I just waited to hear what asinine thing Cole had managed to pin on me again. Your mom and I talked, and she swears that you were not the one to throw the party. In that moment, I was shocked by the mess and not thinking clearly. He grimaced. Which one of my sons threw the party? Silence was best, so I continued to stare at him. I was no rat. His lips twitched like he was suppressing a smile. I see. I doubted that very much. I took a bite of the apple without breaking eye contact, preferring to know where he was at all times. I didn't get any creepy vibes from him, but I didn't like him either. We got off on the wrong foot, but I want you to know that I love your mom very much, and I will do everything in my power to keep her safe. That was where our opinion differed. It won't be enough, and we won't be staying. And as for loving mom, I shrugged. You say that, but you're getting the good side of her right now. You haven't known each other long enough to wade through the bad. And when that happens, no infatuation will be enough to protect any of us. Your mom is the only woman I've ever loved. That shocked me. What about Cole and Damon's mom? Or were you too busy cheating on her with whoever your new infatuation was? Low blow, and I was sure mom would be horrified since she was so into this guy, but his comment made me sick. No matter how much of a jerk Cole was, it was a good thing he wasn't here to listen to this. It's complicated. I care deeply for her, but it's not the same as what I've always felt for your mom. His pained expression cleared, and determination flared in his blue eyes, which were so like Damon's. This is our time, and I won't let anything, especially something from your past, stand in our way. Oh, wow, she told him stuff? That comment was barely veiled. We never told anyone anything. It made me wonder what else I didn't know about their relationship. And gross. I didn't want to go there. And this goes without saying, but I'll ensure you're safe too. I huffed. There was no way he could stop or even slow down what would come for us, and there was no point in trying to convince him otherwise. We would leave in the dead of night, like always. I had nothing more to say and clamped my lips together, gripping the apple in my right hand. He took the cue and left. Alone in the kitchen, I couldn't stop tremors from running through me as I considered the disaster Mom had landed us in. Needing even a small release, I flipped Lucas's retreating form off with my left hand and an emphatic "fuck you" under my breath. That was interesting. I whirled around in the direction of the deep voice and launched the apple I held with everything I had. My heart thundered in fear, and I shifted to the balls of my feet, ready to run. Damon stood in the open pantry, his fist wrapped around the apple that would have hit him in the middle of the chest. I gulped air, and adrenaline coursed through me as I fought the urge to run. Nice aim. How long have you been here? Not that it mattered to me, but it wouldn't help the rocky relationship between the men in this house if he'd heard too much. Since you got this apple from the fridge. His face darkened, and I recognized what his opponents must have seen on the football field or in the ring. Interesting. I'm glad I stayed in there. You learn something new every day. Whatever that meant didn't matter. Nothing would change. Well, it's been real, Demon. I purposely used his nickname as I backed away, making a beeline for the stairs. A part of me wondered what would have happened if it had been Cole instead. I doubted it would have made a difference, but there were some clues in what Lucas said about my past that I didn't need Cole learning. Will Damon tell him? A roar rippled through the crowd. gaining in strength as Cass and I weaved our way through the nearly full bleachers to the empty seats we'd spotted. She'd convinced me to come to the game, which hadn't been difficult. Mom and Lucas were here too. She'd said Lucas and some other alumni were being recognized at halftime. Supposedly, it was a big deal. Guess he was good back in the day. Not that I cared even a little. The team took the field and I glanced at the players, searching for Cole, who wasn't hard to find. I knew the way he moved. My stomach clenched. I cursed the way my body reacted to him. Insane. No one had ever caused me to respond even a fraction as much as he did from a single glance. The excitement from the crowd was infectious, and I leaned forward in anticipation. Cass nudged my shoulder with hers. Wait until you see them. It's an experience. How are they different than any other high school team? Cass grinned, then tucked her dark hair behind her ears. She had a chic look that not many could pull off. Cole's projected to go into the NFL from Thane. I scrunched my nose. Seriously? How can they know that about a high schooler? She laughed. Just watch him on the field. Phoenix, too. He's the QB. Even though he's a year younger, scouts have been watching him since freshman year when he made varsity. A family of NFLers? That's a thing? Cass shrugged, the corners of her mouth twitching. Okay, Miss My Dive's rival Olympians. I rolled my eyes. Not likely, but back to them. Here's the history. She leaned in and lowered her voice. Cole's dad is rumored to have been chosen for the draft. I guess he was high up in whatever it is. Picks? She waved her hand. Not sure what that's called. But his stats were good enough to give him a ranking that said he'd go in the first few rounds. Then he dropped out. Of college? I'd never paid attention to professional sports outside of diving. No, from the draft. No idea what happened, but that's what my dad told me, and he is a sports fanatic. Okay, so maybe that explains Cole, but Phoenix too? Damon and Shane are also exceptional players, but Cole and Phoenix are able to do things that my dad says are legendary, and Shane and Phoenix's dad is in the NFL. So he taught them? It would have made sense, and it would have given them a leg up. No, I don't think he's part of their lives, but talent is all up in their blood. My dad can't shut up about it after he watches one of their games, which he does religiously. She searched the crowd, then pointed to a center area near the top of the bleachers. He and Mom are there, decked out in gold and black. That didn't narrow it down at all, as those were our school colors. I nodded, going with it. If he's so great, will the NFL draft him after he graduates this year? Cass shrugged. I don't know anything about that, but I heard he's going to Thane University. It was a Division I school and where I would apply if I actually went away to college, which I doubted. But their diving team tempted me to drink the Kool-Aid. What about you? I'm going there too. Her gaze shifted to the front of the bleachers where Piper and her squad were doing some cheers. Piper is too. Despite how stupid she is when it comes to Cole, she's really smart. I thought a moment and decided it didn't bother me. How did you find that out? About Piper, I mean. I'm friends with Brooke, who's tight with Piper, remember? Oh, yeah. That's where you'll go, right? The diving team is outstanding. I don't think you could pass it up if you got offered a spot on their team. Would it bother you that Piper will be there? Cass shifted so she could look at my face. No, I shrugged. She doesn't upset me. I cast another glance at the blonde Barbie going through her cheer routine. It did bother me a little that she wasn't over Cole. I wasn't sure she ever would be. She had it bad for him, which was why she acted the way she did. Given Cole's ever-changing emotions, though, most of the school didn't freeze me out as much anymore. They pretty much ignored me in the halls, including Piper. She never meant anything to Cole. Cass's penetrating look was all-knowing. I know. My voice was subdued. A part of me felt bad for Piper, but she wasn't my problem, and Cole didn't give her the time of day anymore. Putting all thoughts of her from my mind, I shifted my gaze to the field where the players lined up. The center snapped the ball, and I found myself leaning forward. Some of the players ran routes, and the other team covered them as Phoenix found his target. Then he launched the ball in what even I would call a beautiful pass to Cole, who plucked it out of the air. Damon blocked another player and cleared a space for Cole, who took off down the field. Holy crap, was he fast! My heart pounded, and I leapt to my feet with the rest of the Academy's fans as he crossed into the end zone. Even I knew a touchdown on the first play was something to shout about. The minutes flew by, and Cass laughed at me when my jaw almost came unhinged at another shockingly good play. They made the other team look like fools. It was crazy. I finally understood why the elites were treated the way they were. On the field, they were legend. It was that simple. And while I was shocked and seriously impressed, I wondered if I could shake things up if we ran into each other at halftime. A small grin curved my lips. I had to try.